Today on the Morning Edition, some dramatic video showing the unthinkable. A massive glacier collapse in the Swiss Alps, sending ice and rock tearing through a mountain village. We have the latest on how locals plan to move forward. And closer to home here in Ketchikan, mud and debris from a landslide slammed into homes, triggering evacuations and urgent warnings from emergency officials as more wind and rain could be heading to the area. And later.
You never know. Every day's different. We've got bears that have figured out how to open car doors and open doors to get into housing.
Bears, moose, and a surprise eagle rescue. A wild ride as we go inside the gate, see what our cameras caught on an unusual safari as the Morning Edition starts now. Good morning, everyone, on this Thursday. Yeah, the bears are pretty active around Jay Bear in that Boniface Gate area.
Yeah, I've seen at least one or two bears getting out and about, so they're waking up. They've been up for quite some time. But as you get out and about and interact with wildlife, make sure you give yourself and them some space and the distance that they need. Waking up this morning, we do have some rain that continues out towards the Gulf Coast region, particularly out towards Prince William Sound, now out towards southeast. We're continuing to hold on to some rain showers. Now, the radar out towards Juneau, that has been down for maintenance for the last couple of days, but we're still seeing some rain showers out towards southeast. The atmospheric river, though, that is beginning to lighten up. We're still going to see some heavy rainfall into our Friday, but nowhere near the heaviest activity that we've seen for most of this week. But we're still holding on to that rain across South Central. Here across the Panhandle, you can see since about midnight, we've seen just a few hundredths of an inch to nearly 3/10 of an inch of rain out towards Juneau. So that rainfall really has begun to lighten up out towards the Panhandle. We're still seeing a flood advisory out towards the Ward Lake recreational area, where we're still holding on to that potential for some flooding or at least some minor flooding. And notice throughout today for the Panhandle, we're still going to see some of that rainfall, nowhere near as heavy. By this afternoon, we'll see the potential for anywhere from a few hundredths of an inch to about 4/10 of an inch of rainfall. The heaviest rain through the rest of this week arrives overnight on into our Friday. And this is where we could see the potential for an additional 1 to 2.5 inches of rain for the southern and central Panhandle. So we're still holding on to some of that heavier activity, but we're catching a break, as today we're not going to see as much in the way of that rainfall. But as we transition into June, we are going to continue to see this tilt towards wetter conditions as unsettled weather remains across the state. We're also watching our spring season as it draws to a close this week. They got the top 10 warmest spring on record for Anchorage. Colder and breezier weather continues for areas out west. And of course, we got some rain into Friday. I'll have more details on that in that 7-day forecast for you coming up.
So a lot of times a landslide like this puts a significant hardship on the homeowners and the property owners to try to make these repairs and restore their life to normal.
But we're hearing from Ketchikan city officials after a landslide damaged a home and forced an emergency evacuation. They say slides like this can bring serious hardship as homeowners struggle to make repairs and return to normal life. In our top story, the aftermath remains after Wednesday's landslide triggered by torrential rain and wind slammed into 2 homes. Residents, they were able to escape safely, but the slide destabilized a driveway and left behind a mess of trees and mud. It happened near mile 5 of the North Tongass Highway, and according to the city of Ketchikan, this event did not impact the highway structurally. Crews already cleared a smaller slide nearby on White River Road. City officials say the structure of the North Tongass Highway is sound, but with wet weather continuing, they are urging people to stay alert.
Pay attention to the trees, right? Look at the trees uphill from your home and see if they're starting to lean more down toward the ground. Look when we get these heavy rains and see how the water's flowing. Is there new drainages developing? Is that water starting to become soil tinted or, brown tinted? Those are always indications that you've got land moving above you and things are changing above you.
And we've got an eye on those conditions in Ketchikan. Of course, we'll be here to keep you informed with the very latest. Also, check our website or sign up for the news app for updates. Alaska state troopers say 3 bodies have been recovered from a boat discovered at the bottom of Kachemak Bay nearly 10 months after a family of 4 from Texas disappeared in those waters. The boat was found about 16 miles west of the Homer Spit after 3 private companies joined forces to conduct a search earlier this month. The mission focused on locating 42-year-old David Maynard, 37-year-old Mary Maynard, and their 2 young sons, 11-year-old Colton and 8-year-old Brantley. The remains have been sent to the medical examiner for identification. It is not yet confirmed if the bodies belong to the missing family. And a dramatic rescue in Seward after a hike turned into a terrifying turn. A man is lucky to be alive after a 700-pound boulder landed on him while he was hiking over the weekend, but he says he's feeling better.
Oh, pretty good. I'm ready to go dancing. We actually decided in our advanced age that we're going to stick to trails from now on.
61-year-old Kel Morris was walking along 4th of July Creek with his wife when he triggered a rock slide, sending a 700-pound boulder crashing down on top of him. Pinned face down in the water, he managed to stay alive long enough for a passing helicopter tour to spot him. A crew of first responders freed him and got him to safety. Morris spent a few days in the hospital. You can read the full story on alaskasnewssource.com. And as summer traffic picks up in Anchorage, officials are urging drivers and pedestrians to stay alert. Last year set a record for pedestrian deaths in the city with 15 people killed. And just last week, a deadly hit and run on Brayton Drive added to the concern. The Department of Transportation says July is historically one of the deadliest months. This year, they're focusing on speed enforcement to help reverse that trend. The message is clear: slow down, stay vigilant, and share the road.
First and foremost, we ask everybody to watch out for each other. That includes tourists and pedestrians in general. We ask that people make safe crossings, be alert, cross at a legal crossing when they're able. Make sure they're visible to drivers.
Being visitors here and having to walk around, it's been pretty easy. Not a heavy amount of traffic. It's been nice to walk around, see the different sites without having to worry too much about running into too many traffic problems or anything else.
Justin Shelby with the DOT says most pedestrian collisions in Anchorage happen on busier roads like Tudor and Muldoon, not downtown. To address that, the state is partnering with the municipality to improve crosswalks, lighting, and signage in high-risk areas, part of a long-term plan to make streets safer for everyone. Alaska's defense footprint could be expanding, and Senator Dan Sullivan says the state is ready. While hosting the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs at J-Bear, Sullivan spoke about the White House's proposed Golden Dome, a $175 billion plan to bolster U.S. missile defense, including placing weapons in space for the first time. Sullivan says Alaska's existing interceptors at Fort Greely already form the backbone of America's defense, and the state would be central to this new multi-layered system.
Now we have the threats of cruise missiles. We have the threats of hypersonic missiles. And to be perfectly honest, we don't have a lot of defenses against those. We have the threats of drones. We have the threats of balloons, believe it or not, that we saw here a couple of years ago. So this Golden Dome system is meant to address these evolving threats to Alaska, to our country.
Meantime, in Fairbanks, Senator Lisa Murkowski spoke at a constituent luncheon, telling our team that her trip includes stops in Delta Junction and Fort Greely, where she's receiving military briefings, including updates on the new missile defense system.
Go up and see the proposal for the Veterans Cemetery. Tomorrow is Greely and Delta. Get a little bit of an update on what is happening with our missile defense system, as well as some of the healthcare issues, and meeting with some in the Ukrainian community. As we know, there's a strong number of Ukrainian families who have been here since the war began, and a lot of anxiety within those good people about what their future may hold.
If you'd like to hear more from the senators on issues ranging from energy production to concerns surrounding the future of Medicaid, head to our website for the full interviews. You might have noticed the fence around Town Square Park is now down, marking the end of Phase 1 in a push to revamp the downtown Anchorage space. The city repainted, cleared trees for better sight lines, and plans to install security cameras by fall. A $2.8 million bond will fuel more changes next summer, including removing hills that create blind spots. City officials say it's about safety, but critics argue the project displaces vulnerable people who used to gather in the park. However, not everyone is on board with the remodel, some saying it targets certain people who hang out at the park.
You use the public income to discriminate against certain groups of people because you don't want them laying in the park that's got hills and shady trees. Well, guess what? They've been doing it out on the street where there is no shady street and there is no mountain to lay on, and they're doing it right out in the open. You don't think they will do that, not do that in the park?
The city says that's not the intent. Officials tell us the changes to Town Square Park, including tree removals and future hill flattening, are about visibility and safety, with those security cameras coming in the fall. But as you had just heard, not everyone is convinced.
I think that the mayor's approach is multi-pronged. And so certainly the desire to make the park a better space is a desire to make the park a better space for everyone.
Exciting programming is planned to energize the park this summer, including tonight's Live After 5 Thursdays featuring music by I Like Robots. After the break, Homer's Kristen Faulkner keeps winning after striking gold in Paris. The Olympic cyclist just claimed another national title. See how she sprinted to victory.
We've got some sunshine to start off the day, but rain does return tonight into tomorrow. I'll have a look at what to expect across the state, as well as some cooler conditions out west. But first, sunrise, 4:40 in Anchorage, out towards Bethel. We've got a sunrise at 5:32 with the full forecast coming up next.
Volcano monitoring teams say the chances of an eruption are going down. Magma movement has stalled for now, lowering the overall risk, but Mount Spur remains in an elevated state of unrest. If activity does pick back up, experts say an eruption could resemble those back in 1953 or 1992. We will keep tracking you every day, so you don't have to. But of course, we know, Aaron, going into tourist season, sort of some nice, calming, welcoming news on that front.
Yeah, because we certainly do not want any of that ash fall, but we'll certainly continue to watch that situation when it comes to the volcano and the potential eruption, although it is continuing to decline. Looking at our spring conditions across South Central. Now, when we're talking about this being the top warmest spring, when we talk about our climatological seasons, December through February, those are our winter months. And then, of course, March through May, those are our spring months, with Sunday starting June transitioning into summer. And this is done blocked off by 3-month periods, as it is a lot easier into keeping out record keeping. But you can see we're currently sitting at the 7th warmest spring on record. And you may go, well, it's been feeling cool outside. We've seen those afternoon highs in the 50s and even a few locations that have warmed into the 60s. So why are we seeing our warmest spring? Well, it's largely due to our overnights. These cloudy conditions, this precipitation we've been dealing with for the past several weeks has actually kept our overnight lows well above average. We're sitting with our overnight lows being the 4th warmest on record. That is what's leading to those very warm conditions we've seen for the spring months. Looking at those temperatures across the state, or at least our temperature trend, notice out west we continue to cool off. Bethel about 10 to 12 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. McGrath roughly 10 degrees colder. So we're still tapping into those colder conditions out west. Meanwhile, here in South Central, we're roughly sitting at where we were sitting at this time yesterday morning. Now, winds continue to gust out west through parts of the Aleutians. We've also got those winds continuing to increase across South Central and into the interior. Those winds anywhere from about 20 to roughly 40 miles per hour, where we're seeing some of those stronger wind speeds. That continues to drive in those colder conditions. And as a result, we're seeing those wind chills out west, anywhere from 18 degrees in Unalakleet, 10 degrees in Kotzebue, feels like 4 degrees in Anaktuvik Pass. So we are seeing some of these cooler conditions that are beginning to spill back in across the state and will stay with us through the end of this week. Now, as far as what we're seeing across Alaska in terms of precipitation, we've got some lingering rain from those showers and thunderstorms yesterday through the interior. And of course, here in South Central, we've got some heavy rainfall that's set to impact the coastal regions, Prince William Sound, through the remainder of today. This is where we could see the potential for several inches of rain accumulation. Now, rain out towards southeast, that is lightening up for today. We'll still hold on to some of those rain showers, nowhere near as widespread and heavy as what we've seen from the past 48 hours. With that said, as we close the door on today and welcome in Friday, we will see some widespread rain rain building back in across southeast. And we'll also wake up tomorrow morning to wet commute across south central. So be prepared for rain to make a return to the region overnight into tomorrow for the vast majority of south central. So we're going to continue to hold on to this wet weather pattern as we close out May for southeast. You can see those temperatures today will be on the cooler side, nosing our way near 50 degrees with some gusty winds. We're still holding on to those winds across south central. Waking up with some sunshine, though. Those clouds will increase into the evening, and then we'll see those rain showers arriving overnight into tomorrow. Thunderstorm activity doesn't look as promising as what we did see from the past 2 afternoons. 47 in Valdez, 56 degrees in Volcano, so be prepared for that heavier rainfall that will stick around throughout the day or into the overnight hours into tomorrow for parts of Prince William Sound. Temperatures warming near 60 degrees into the valley. Here in Anchorage, we'll top out at 55 with that rain arriving into the evening. Still breezy, though, with those winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour. And you can see those rain showers carry us through our Friday with spotty activity into our Saturday with a return to some peaks of sunshine. Next week, most of the rain looks to favor coastal regions, but we'll stay on the cooler side in the mid to upper 50s.
All right, well, that looks good. Thanks, Aaron. Homer's Olympic champion Kristen Faulkner just added another trophy to her record-setting year. She powered through a final sprint to defend her title at the USA Pro Road Championships in Charleston, capping off a season that's already included 2 Olympic golds and a trip to the Tour de France. Next week, she'll be honored back home at the Alaska Sports Hall of Fame, recognized as this year's Pride of Alaska women's athlete. Faulkner's next major stop is the Women's Tour de France in July. Turning to aging in America, nearly a quarter of the U.S. population is expected to be 65 or older by the year 2060. And according to the CDC, aging raises the risk of chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes and heart disease, and even injuries from falls. But healthy aging isn't impossible. Mandy Gaither has more on how to stay strong and healthy no matter your age.
It's a leading cause of injury for those ages 65 and older. More than 14 million older adults fall every year as the risk of falling rises with age.
Our muscles begin to lose mass, our joints deteriorate, our bones can become less dense. That can make it harder to move, easier to fracture those bones, and could lead to chronic pain.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta says some simple exercises can help keep bodies strong no matter your age. First, resistance training.
We're talking about weightlifting and push-ups. Those build muscle strength, which in turn burns calories and can prevent weight gain.
Next, cardiovascular activities like walking and biking. Gupta says these exercises can get your heart pumping and help with endurance, heart health, and blood circulation.
Walking is a weight-bearing exercise, so that is a good way to build bone density as well, to help prevent the risk of falling.
Finally, Gupta says balance exercises are also needed as we age to work on core strength and your coordination. He says stretching and yoga are also good options.
Overall, experts recommend 150 minutes a week of exercise and say it's good to mix it up and do a variety of activities.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In addition to exercise, the National Institute on Aging says you can help prevent falls by fall-proofing your home. That includes making sure there's good lighting and handrails on both sides of any stairs and not using throw rugs or small area rugs, which can cause a person to trip.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.